Joining us now is the writer whose essay in the New York Times helped break the silence around this topic of so-called mom rage. Please welcome Minna Dubin to our show. Minna, so I told you I was 2 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't sleep. Started looking at New York Times, and I saw your article. I started to read it. I went back to the top to see who the writer was, and then it said republished. Mm-hmm. This hit such a nerve. It was published multiple times. Was it because it was hard to digest the first time, or was it the reaction to it the first time?
I think that it got such a strong reaction that they wanted to publish it again. It was published originally in September 2019, and the second time it was published was in April 2020, so it was right when lockdown hit. And so I think New York Times Parenting knew that moms were going crazy. And so it was that second time it was published, it was perfect timing.
Interesting you say that they knew that moms were experiencing this. When my show said, you know, we were doing this in social media, someone I respect immediately said, this is misogynistic. That this is not, you know, this conversation could be a burden, a further burden on moms, because dads surely are going through something too. How do you explain the distinction to people?
I mean, mom rage is really because of misogyny. So it's funny that this conversation is being labeled as misogynistic. I mean, mom rage stems from the overwhelming stress and impossible expectations of modern motherhood, combined with the immense lack of support in the family structure and also in the societal systems, like no maternity leave, childcare being astronomically expensive, things like that. And, you know, in a family of, you know, when there's two parents, it is so often the mother who ends up staying home if they can't afford childcare, because the father makes more money because of the gender wage gap. So mom rage is connected, and really because of patriarchy and misogyny and the lack of support for mothers.
You will have people who will watch this and say, okay, they clearly just can't handle it, you know, or they are fragile, or maybe they don't have time management. Do you believe most moms are susceptible to this or are experiencing it, and it's just people like yourself who are willing to come out and admit it out loud? Much like postpartum depression, there was a time you could not talk about that.
Right.
And then we started to see, over the 30 years I've been a journalist, well-known people who were, you know, all kinds of folks explaining their postpartum depression publicly.
Yeah. I mean, when I published that piece in the New York Times, I didn't actually know if it was so widespread.
Right.
I didn't know that. And then the reaction that I got hundreds of messages from moms from around the world. And so that really told me that that this is a worldwide, unspoken emotional crisis that's happening.
An unspoken emotional crisis. And that is, I think that's what the power of that essay and your words reveal. When you talk about in the essay these episodes where it's just going through your body. And I see you. I know you're a great mom. I've read about you. I know people who know you. But then I try to reconcile those words, and I think, oh, whoa, that's scary.
It is scary. I mean, I don't think that mom rage has, you know, I wrote it in that piece, mom rage has nothing to do with lack of love.
Right.
Like, moms love their kids, and you can have mom rage and be a great mom. Although, I would say that almost everyone who has mom rage feels like they're not a good mom.
What about people who say this is child abuse, or this is teetering to that?
I think those people have no idea what they're talking about. Is what I think. I mean, it's not that it can't become that, you know what I mean? Mom rage is not okay. I'm never trying to say that, like, it's cool to yell at your children or to yell at your partner in that, like, intense, growly way. Like, it's not okay. And it doesn't necessarily mean child abuse.
Right.
And so it's important to me to differentiate the two, because they don't have to be the same.